Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to our live session today. My name is Catherine Warren, and I'm part of the Golden Eagle Orientation Team. Thank you so much for joining our session today on Study Abroad. This session will include a presentation and an opportunity for a Q&A. If you would like to submit any questions to our presenter today, you do have a Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen, so feel free to use that to submit any questions throughout the presentation. For our incoming students, please remember that this live session is supplemental to your required online orientation. So you still need to log into your Brockport email and complete your required online orientation. This information is just supplemental, so just a quick reminder there. And at the conclusion of this presentation, we do have a feedback form, and we would love for you to fill that out to let us know how things are going, if you have any questions or concerns, or anything we can do to improve your experience. So again, thank you all so much for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Lindsay to kick off our Study Abroad presentation.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay. I'm just going to get this going. Hopefully it's up. Okay. So my name is Lindsay Lau. I work at the Center for Global Education and Engagement at SUNY Brockport. I was also a SUNY Brockport student for undergrad and grad. So I started in 2002 as an undergrad, and one of the reasons that I was so excited to end up at SUNY Brockport was for the study abroad opportunities that it provided to me. It's not something that I thought about when I was looking for colleges, but after I got to SUNY Brockport and realized, how much we have to offer compared to some other schools, I was very excited to have that as an option for me during my undergraduate career. I studied abroad twice. Once as an undergraduate student, I did a semester at the University of Canterbury in Christchurch, New Zealand. And as a graduate student, I studied abroad in Mexico, in Cuernavaca, Mexico, for a language immersion program over the summer. That was a 5-week program. So I've had two very different study abroad experience, one a language immersion program with a homestay, and the other a direct enroll program at a university, again in New Zealand, where I took courses for my major and my minor. And then I've worked at the study abroad office ever since, which is coming right up on 15 years, which is a long time. And so I've really been fortunate and able to help a lot of students study abroad. Right now, my current role is that I manage all of our faculty-led programs. And we'll talk a little bit about the different opportunities for types of study abroad through Brockport. But faculty-led is one of them, and I take care of all of the logistics now. And I also advise for some key programs as well. So welcome, thanks for coming. And I am looking forward to taking questions after. I can't see them as they come in, but I'm looking forward to hearing from you with all of your questions. So yeah, SUNY Brockport, study abroad. The Center for Global Education and Engagement, we are located in Daly Hall, which is the computer lab, sort of in the center of campus. And we're always very happy to help. There's a staff of people, so we have different study abroad advisors that advise for different programs, and you can come and chat with us if you have any questions about different programs that we have on offer. If you want to take a look at your course schedule to see what it is that you're working towards and what programs would best fit your plans, we'd love to chat with you. We can also we're available on the phone and via email. We have also on Tuesdays, we have a set time where from 12:30 to 1:30, we're on a Zoom chat, and we can provide that link to you if you ever just come up with some questions that you want to go over and chat with an advisor virtually in this time. We're happy to help that way too. So like I said, SUNY Brockport actually offers quite a lot of study abroad programs, and as I was looking for schools, it's nothing that was on my radar, but I really realized it once I got there and started looking at the opportunities and comparing them to some of the places that some of our sort of sister institutions. We offer study abroad programs, nearly 100 study abroad programs actually, on over 30 countries on all 7 continents. So a list of countries is here. There's also a list on our website if you wanted to take a look at that. Our program offerings are changing all the time. We have some institutional partnerships that are pretty consistent from year to year. They're universities that we offer programs to, so you can go. Faculty-led programs as well, that the faculty will go to the same location over and over again, but we also are always developing new programs and opportunities. Different departments might have an initiative where they want to go somewhere specific. There's different faculty leaders that want to rotate sort of the locations that they go. So you can take a look at our website at any time to see what it is that we offer. But here's a good list. Yes, you can go to Antarctica. That's a big one that's where we can say that we go to all 7 continents. I was actually lucky enough to go with the group as an assistant. I think it was 2014, 2015. And it was very cool. It was my last continent to travel to, and it was one of those things where I thought I just wanted to do it for the bucket list, but it was the most amazing place that I could even imagine. It was very cool and cold, but actually colder here in upstate New York at the time. So the reasons to study abroad, these are just a few reasons to study abroad, and I am a huge proponent for study abroad. When I was, 18 years old and going to Brockport for the first time, I was the kind of kid that couldn't go to the mall without somebody to go with me. I had no sort of independence, and I grew up in Greece in Rochester area, so choosing Brockport kind of will give you a good indication of how worldly I was interested in being when I first got there. But study abroad really changed me as a person. That sounds really cheesy to say, but it really did make me have a global awareness that I didn't have before. It really impacted who I am as a person. I remember getting to New Zealand and calling my parents and saying I'm going to turn around and I can't do it. And about 45 minutes later, I totally transitioned, and it was the best experience of my life, and all of the networking that I was able to do and all of that. So the global awareness is really reflecting on your relationship with the world and learning about what it is that is important to you personally and professionally. I certainly didn't grow up thinking that I wanted to work in international education, but I got back seeing the impact that these kinds of experiences could have on students and their professional goals, their personal, their personality, even their relationships and things like that. That became really important to me, and so here I am today. Intercultural relationships. So learning about perspectives, and I think in this day and age, thinking about outside perspectives is really important. And studying abroad really puts you in the position where you're needing to learn about life in different ways. Even in countries where, in theory, you think that everything is going to be pretty similar to the United States, it's really an interesting exercise to go out and meet people from a variety of different lifestyles and really put yourself in the position where maybe, the language isn't English as a first language, and maybe, people think differently than you do or act differently than you do, or, not everything happens at the, not everything happens so fast, and being from New York, you want something, you get it in 2 seconds, and you go to a restaurant in another country and, sit there and wait, and, dinner and meals take longer, and people interact in a different way, and no waiter is coming to your table to rush you off to be with the next person. It's just these little things that really change your perspective for the ways people live. And informed citizenship, so discovering a new way of life, changing the way you think, understand, and interact with the world around you. What is study abroad? So in its basic sense, study abroad is getting academic credits for different kinds of travel opportunities. So you can take classes overseas, you can intern overseas. We actually offer 5 different types of programs that you can choose to participate in. All of them are credit bearing, so you'll receive credit. And then depending on your interests and your what you want out of the program, there's different ways that you can study abroad. So an internship, we'll kind of go into each one individually, actually, so I'm going to pause there. But internships, faculty-led programs, exchange and direct enrollment programs at a university, service learning, and language immersion are the 5 main types of programs that we offer for students, and they're all in various different countries. So the first one to chat about is internships. So we offer internships in Australia, China, Czech Republic, United Kingdom, so England and Scotland, Ireland, Mexico, New Zealand, and Washington, D.C. in the U.S. In an internship program, you will gain your work experience and get credit for that. So, and international networking is a huge part of internships. So, you're working, you have basically a job there. These internships are unpaid, but they are credit bearing. So you'll have a job overseas. There is sort of a content course alongside of it to help you propel through, make sure that you're staying on top of your goals for the program. But networking with different people, from your colleagues to your coworkers to different companies and businesses overseas, is huge. It improves your resume. You all of a sudden you come back from this kind of a program with an improved resume. So you will be able to sit in an interview and talk about, actual real life world work experience that you've had in another country. So improving your resume, maybe you get a job sooner, and improving your cultural competency along the way, and really interacting on a day-to-day real life way with people in the workforce overseas, it's huge. And we have seen, one example of this was we have a student who studied abroad on a different program, came back, and then decided to do an internship program in the Czech Republic. He was a recreation and leisure major with a concentration in tourism at Brockport, and came back from the Czech Republic with a job offer to open a boutique hotel in Prague in the Czech Republic. So he is the GM of this boutique hotel that's now #1 on TripAdvisor. And so he still lives in the Czech Republic. So his entire world changed just by studying abroad. We've had interns. I had a friend when I was an undergraduate. She did a study abroad program around the same time, and she did an internship in Dublin at a literary magazine, and they had a sister magazine in I think Washington State, and she was able to secure a job at that internship magazine, or that sister magazine in Washington State, which is pretty cool. So job opportunities, networking, and all of that is great. Faculty-led programs, that's the one that I'm sort of working on at the most these days. Faculty-led programs are short-term study abroad programs that are led by a Brockport faculty member. So these are specific to, I should have said that with internships, actually, if we can go back for 1 second. But internships are available for any major. So if you are an English major, if you're a business major, if you're tourism, if you're, in the health field, there are internships for you available. So you will work with us and the placement company overseas, and we will find a placement that suits your needs, your academic needs, your interests, like what it is that you want to do, upon graduation, all of that. Faculty-led programs, because they're run by a specific faculty leader, those are more specific. You'll be taking a specific course. So you'll sign up, you'll know ahead of time what the course is, but the faculty leader is teaching a specific course when they're overseas, and you can take a look at that course to see if it fits in your schedule, if it maybe takes care of a general education requirement or a major requirement, but all students in the group will be learning the same thing. This picture is actually I led one study abroad program as a faculty leader in New Zealand. So you can see there I am right there. And this is the group. So there were 17 students, and we went around New Zealand. And in that course specifically, students were able to kind of do their final project on an area of interest. So if they were really interested in criminal justice, they would be able to sort of focus the final project to that area to help them to try to get it to count towards specific major requirements, or women's studies, for example, or journalism. They were able to kind of tweak that program to cater towards their major. A lot of times, like Peru, for example, or Costa Rica, those programs are specific. Like Costa Rica is a nursing program. So if you're a nursing major, you would go there to take, NUR 245 community health clinical, and same with Peru. So those programs, they're a specific set of, requirements, specific course, and you go there. The nice thing about it is for students who don't have a long time, they don't have, necessarily a full semester to spend overseas. They want to go for a short time. These are great. It's also great if you're a little bit nervous about traveling, and you really want the idea of, traveling with a group, having kind of built-in friendships from the program, having a faculty member there on site to help out the entire time. And these programs can range from 3 to 6 credits. So there's that. Service learning. Service learning is a unique blend of volunteering overseas and studying. So we have service learning programs. Some are service learning programs, and some are, you can add a service learning component to your program as it is. So Chile, for example, it's a language immersion program. You can also take content courses outside of just the Spanish language, but there's a service learning piece that you can add to your program to have that component. But those are the countries. So Australia, Chile, Costa Rica, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Puerto Rico, and Vietnam are the programs that we offer in service learning. The Vietnam program is probably our most famous sort of service learning program. That was developed by a faculty leader or a faculty member in the Department of Social Work at SUNY Brockport. He was actually a Vietnam vet. And he started this program and an NGO that it's associated with. And students go, they live in it's our program house, SUNY Brockport's program house. And they go out into the community and help people from all kinds of people. So they'll go out to an orphanage, they'll go out to different families which have severely disabled kids who have been actually continually affected by Agent Orange from the Vietnam War. Welfare centers, they'll go and make meals to for the homeless. They'll teach English to university students at the local university. Once a week they have, so college-age Vietnamese students who are interested in learning language, they'll tutor those students on English. And so that program, there is more to that program in terms of they're studying politics and history and Vietnamese language, but the service learning piece is such an integrated part to that program that, and it's, one of our most popular programs, especially during the winter session. That program actually is offered for the semester and summer and the winter. And I guess we can talk about that a little bit, that some of our programs are offered during those shorter semesters and some are offered for the semester. So yeah, language immersion programs, that I think when I started, but now it's been a long time, so I'm not sure, but when I started, I just assumed that if I was studying overseas, I was going to learn a language. And so that was kind of just my, 18-year-old assumption about that. We do have some programs that offer language immersion. So really going to learn and enhance your language skills. So living in a host family environment, having classes that are taught all in your host language, even if it's at a beginner level, is what language immersion is. It's great for students because you do have a language requirement coming into SUNY Brockport. So if you're interested in taking care of that requirement, if you haven't already during high school, you can do it as a 3-credit winter program, for example. So instead of spending your semester learning language at Brockport, you can go and take that requirement overseas. If you're a more advanced learner and you just want to kind of hone in on your language, these are perfect as well. And then exchange and university programs. So I talked about my experience in New Zealand as a semester student. That was a university partnership program. So SUNY Brockport has a list of universities that we work with overseas in many different countries. And we have institutional relationships, some of which are what's called an exchange program. So meaning that a student from that university might come and take your place. If you were a Brockport student going and studying for a semester in Australia, for example, at the University of Western Australia, it's possible that one of their students would come and kind of exchange with you. Exchange programs, because of that reciprocal agreement, tend to be our least expensive semester program. So because you're paying your Brockport tuition and not the higher international tuition in those cases, they tend to be less expensive options for you if you were interested in a full semester. University partnerships, the one that I did was not an exchange program, so we didn't have anybody coming back and taking my place, but I still really wanted to go to that particular program to study. And so those would be, essentially it feels like you're transferring for that semester to a whole nother university. So you're picking from a list of their course offerings and you're going to that university for the semester and then you're coming back. The difference with transferring is that you still maintain your student status. All of the credits you're receiving from a study abroad program on any program, including these, are Brockport credits, so they're home campus credits. They're not exchange. They're not transfer credits, and you get to maintain your student status for financial aid purposes. So you will still be able to use financial aid for your programs. We'll talk a little bit about financial aid soon. So some myths that students have for studying abroad, that they won't graduate on time, that they can't do it because they don't speak another language, or because they can't do it because it's too expensive and they don't have the financial resources. So in terms of graduating on time, all of your credits, I started to say this, but all of your credits are going to be Brockport credits. So they come back automatically, regardless of what program you do. If it's a 3-credit service learning program, if it's a 18 credit semester overseas, they all come back as upper division Brockport credits. You can work with your advisor to talk to them and get certain courses approved for specific requirements. So if you were interested in, for example, taking Introduction to Women's Studies, and that course was offered at your semester program, you can have that course approved at Brockport so that you don't have to take it. You can take it overseas. Some of the faculty-led programs I mentioned, the Peru and Costa Rica, they are automatically translated to a nursing specific requirement, so NUR 245. So there are programs like that where the courses are already articulated for you. We'll talk about another one shortly. And then there are programs where you would be able to look at a list. So if you're a business major, we have AACSB accredited institutions that we work with all over the world, some of the best business schools actually in the world. You could go to University of Sydney's business program, take a look at the list of their classes and take international finance and take, marketing and all of the things that you would need to take at business, and you'd work with your business advisor to get those approved so that they count towards your requirements. So in terms of graduating on time, it actually tends to work out really well, and sometimes it helps. I know I studied abroad and got more credits than I anticipated that I would be able to get towards my major and my minor, and I was able to graduate a semester early. So that's possible as well. Speaking another language, a lot of our programs are in English-speaking universities and English-speaking countries. So even in countries where the native language isn't necessarily English, like Germany, for example, a lot of the courses on offer for study abroad students there are actually taught in English, so you don't need to speak an advanced level of German in order to study at a university there. And so if you have questions about that, you can definitely come to our office and we can chat. Japan, that's another one that, most likely our students are not speaking fluent Japanese, and we still have students going over and taking advantage of an exchange program in Japan because the classes that they offer there for our students are taught in English. And then financial support, we will talk about that right now. Okay, so financial aid and scholarships. Scholarships and grants are available to students for study abroad. Federal and state aid is available. The Excelsior Scholarship does count for study abroad if you qualify for that. Personal funding is another way to make this work financially. So especially, we see it a lot with the Vietnam program, for example, because the students are going over and doing service. A lot of them will set up personal funding, so either a GoFundMe or Fund My Travel or any number of those kinds of things, and then they can type about what it is that they're trying to do and fundraise basically for themselves for their programs. So that's a possibility. We also have in terms of scholarships, you can go to our website, and on the main page there's a link for financial aid and scholarship information. If you click that link, it'll take you over to a list of scholarships that are on offer for Brockport students and for open to anybody. there are foundation scholarships, there's scholarships through our office, and then there's a list of also national scholarships that students can qualify for if they study abroad. There's different scholarships, for example, the Benjamin Gilman Scholarship, which is a national scholarship, which our students often get to go to non-traditional destinations. Our office has advisors that are able to help with these kinds of scholarship applications. So come in and chat with us and make sure to apply. I mean, the one thing that I've learned working in the office is that students say that financial aid and finances are a barrier for them for study abroad. And then I look at the number of applications for our scholarships and see that not many students are applying for the scholarship. So, you know, definitely take a look and put your name in the hat for some of those scholarships, because they can't give them to you if you aren't applying for them. The deadlines for those scholarships do come up sooner than the application deadlines for some programs. So if you, I mean, now is the perfect time. You guys are at the perfect moment to be listening to this conversation, because you know, you're kind of starting out. So you can really take a look and say, all right, I'm looking at my schedule and I want to go, you know, second semester sophomore year, or the summer after my sophomore year, or next summer after my freshman year. And what do I have to do now in order to make that happen for me? And in terms of financial aid, some students actually receive more financial aid because of any additional costs for study abroad semester or a study abroad program. I, for example, didn't qualify. I was like under the, I didn't qualify for very much aid, but I did qualify for more aid in the semester that I spent in New Zealand. It's also the only time, I always like to say this, but it's the only time in your life that you're going to be able to travel on, you know, financial aid and scholarships and student loans. So I would take advantage of that. And this is coming from somebody with 2 kids and no ability to disappear for 6 months to New Zealand the way that I did before. And the program, by the way, was 4 months, but I stayed 2 months to travel just because I fell in love and never wanted to leave. Just have 2 program highlights that I like to talk about in these kinds of presentations. The one is the University of Roehampton program, because we have a freshman program, which is the only program that we have that allows a full semester study abroad for freshman students. And it's a program at one of our best partners in London. It's a campus environment. So a lot of our London partnerships are at programs or universities where it's like kind of a city campus. So, you know, you might have a building here and then get on the tube and go over to a building over there, or, you know, restaurants and shops are kind of like intermingled with university buildings. The University of Roehampton is a little bit more like a US university where there's an actual campus. So you enter the campus, there's accommodation and dining halls and all of the buildings. And so that's kind of nice and feels a little bit more like home, but it's also, you know, in London, which is really nice. So you can jump on the tube and get anywhere you'd want to go. So it's a convenient and safe location. There's additional services for our study abroad students in the freshman program, additional orientations, and we have pre-approved a list of general ed courses and foundation level courses and different majors. So you don't have to do the guesswork of chatting with your advisor to see, does this count for this? You know, you already have an articulated group of classes that you can take and choose from, knowing full well what they'll transfer to, transfer back as at Brockport, if that makes sense. Another one is probably our most popular program, which is the Dublin Internship Program. Internships have become more and more popular over the years. And the Dublin Internship Program, we work with a service provider called USA, and USA places, you know, thousands of students in internship programs across Europe every year. And our partnership with them, it allows students they apply for our program, they submit a resume and cover letter kind of outlining what it is that they're interested in doing, you know, what they're hoping to do after graduation, what kind of qualifications they have based on like their own work that they've done before, and their coursework that they've done. And they really are able to place students in internships across a variety of different sectors. And it's amazing what students are able to do. The students will live together in this particular program. They live together in student accommodation. So they do have like, you know, friends from the program. They have orientation activities and different things that they do throughout the semester to stay connected to the group. And then their individual internship placements, you know, you commute to work the way that you would commute to a job. But that it's a nice kind of well-connected program that we have on offer for the semester and the summer. So if you were interested in doing this program for the summer, you can do it the summer after maybe your junior year, the summer after even graduation, your senior year, you could do that if you don't quite know what you want to do. An internship is a great way actually to figure out even sometimes like what you don't want to do. So sometimes, you know, you go in and you think that you want to work in marketing and you end up working at a business and deciding that you don't really like, you know, working at a computer all day, and so maybe that takes you elsewhere. So that's, I think internships are really useful. So how to apply? So in order to pick a program, our website has them all listed. So it's brockport.edu/studyabroad. There is a search tab there, so you can search just to have it list all. You can search by semester, you can search by country. If you know the name of the program, you can type that in. Once you've kind of narrowed it down to a program that you're interested in, when you're on the program page, just click apply now, and it really moves you pretty easily through the process. So there's a list of requirements for application materials. So sometimes it's as easy as just uploading your transcript. Sometimes with an internship program, for example, there might be a letter of recommendation and a resume and a cover letter, but all of those will be outlined onto your on your application page online. Each program has a specific advisor that you would be working with depending on what it is that you're choosing to apply for. So you can work with us at any point. You can sit down with us and say, I have no idea where I want to go. You can sit with us to say, I've already started the application process. Can you help me with, you know, my resume, that kind of a thing. You can never chat with us. It's up to you. And then after your application materials are in, you'll be accepted. There's a list of post-acceptance materials that you'll need to submit. Those kinds of things range from like a health and safety form to letting us know your flight details if you've decided to do a semester program, for example, and we give you some information about how to book your flight, but you would pick your own, all of those kinds of things. And then you'll be on your way, which is very exciting. And then make sure that you stay connected with us. We are on Facebook and Instagram. I have this on our screen too. Our email address is overseas@brockport.edu. Our phone number is listed there. We're happy to chat with you at any point. There's all the information again, but thank you so much for listening, and I'm looking forward to answering any questions that you might have.
All right, Lindsay, it looks like we do have one question in the Q&A right now. I'm not sure if you're able to see that, but it looks like it says, what would an internship in psychology look like in Dublin?
I can find it. So it depends. So we've had students work in offices, like a clinical psychologist, like work in the office underneath the psychology or psychologist. We've had them, you know, kind of take it in a different direction as well. I think that the best bet is to chat with the advisor. So Michaela would have a list of maybe different placements. I'm trying to think of, I used to grade all of the journals for the Dublin internship program, but I don't think that I had anybody in psychology the semesters that I did that. But we can take a look to see if there's any specific examples of types of placements. Some fields are harder than others to place, and you can kind of imagine what those might be. So, you know, if you're planning on doing an internship, for example, in Spain, and you're an education major, they don't really do any summer schools, so you can't really do that during the summer. Psychology, working with kids and things like that have sort of different hurdles that you need to jump, and they may be a little bit more limited. But we can definitely, I know we have placed psychology in the past, so we can take a look at that. If I can type, can I type?
Yes, you can type in the chat. Yep.
I'm gonna just type the advisor's email address, so you can email her. I think it just went to that person, hopefully. Yes, I can email the slideshow to you. What changes are there to programs due to COVID? A lot of changes. Well, we're walking in some really unique times, as you know. So SUNY Brockport and actually the SUNY system canceled spring programs in March. And so all of the students that were studying abroad, it sort of started slowly, but eventually all of the students studying in any program came home for the spring semester. And then SUNY also made the decision to cancel all summer and fall programs. So we did not run any programs for the fall semester or the summer. So we're in a period of time where we are moving forward with planning for winter programs and planning for spring programs, while understanding that we are needing to kind of still monitor the situation. And we don't know, there's no guarantee how things will go, but there's many different questions that we're asking ourselves in terms of like what programs we're offering. And so we've narrowed the list of opportunities for, and we're in the process of working with the winter programs as well to make sure that things like social distancing are going to be able to happen in those programs. Things like evacuation plans, if we were having to, send students home for a various, instance, things like travel restrictions, which right now, nobody would be able to go, hopeful that is going to change. But in terms of even flying to and from, getting passports, there's a lot of things that are sort of sticking points for going overseas during the pandemic. But for faculty-led programs, for example, we're taking a look to see if, again, like, can we change the accommodation so that students can social distance? Can we limit the number of students on each program so that students can social distance? Can we, do we need to change the kinds of locations that we're sending students? Understanding obviously that can change, but, are there connections at places that, don't have, the higher numbers that we're seeing in other countries. But yeah, there's a lot. I think that, the students and parents who are on this, I'm assuming are students who are kind of coming in as a freshman now. And while there are opportunities, hopefully this year for studying abroad, I would say that most often students are studying overseas in their sophomore, junior, senior year. So, hopefully that's enough of a cushion to be kind of back to business as usual. But I do think that the pandemic is something that's going to impact how we do things, and some of those things are good, but really taking a look at how we're operating and safety and security of our students and all of that. But yeah, a lot of things. It's COVID, yes, COVID. Yeah, I think I answered that as best I can.
Yeah, awesome. Any other questions for Lindsay today? Feel free to throw those in the Q&A. All right, Lindsay, it doesn't look like I see any other questions coming through. So anything else that you want to close on before we wrap up our session today?
No, I think, thank you guys so much for coming. And again, if you take anything away, it's that we're here to help, and we're excited to chat with you about any of your questions. And if we want to just chat about opportunities that we might have available to you, if you want to chat with an advisor and have that set up for you, we'd love to do that. And I will send you the slideshow so that you can get it out to participants if that works for you.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. We'll definitely get that out. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay, and thank you all for coming. Please take a moment to complete our feedback form, and students, don't forget to complete your required online module. Thank you all.